Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of The Epic Collection, The Incredible Hulk. Now this is Crisis on Counter-Earth, Englehart, Thomas, Conway and Trimpe, of course, and many others as well. And you've got here, obviously, Black Bolt and the Inhumans, and of course, a lot of great information about all the various things, Abomination, the Leader, Rhino, etc., Juggernaut. Quite a few high-impact characters in this. Volume 6, and it's 1972-74, 157 to 178. Just come out, so you should be able to get copies readily, and it's about 460 pages. Colour all the way through, obviously some bonus material as usual, actually some nice bonus material at the back, which I will talk about later. The Epic line ever grows, so it's getting smaller and smaller, the various there, and you've got all the list of the inkers, letters, etc. So you can see quite a few, and I love the ink in between, and there's some really brilliant ink in this. And also, of course, all the titles there. So you can see November 1972. My first Hulk comic, I should say, was Hulk 161, March 1973. That was a brilliant one with the Mimic and the Beast. Now, I must admit, I was quite surprised when I saw the Beast in that form. So there's, of course, Rhino there. Now, Rhino seems to, of course, originally was with Spider-Man, but sort of moved over to the Hulk, which was a bit unusual. I would have thought he should have stuck really, because he was really not a contender against the Hulk as far as I was concerned. But you got the Rhino, because he's used by, of course, good old Leader, who is reduced to basically a bit like MODOK kind of thing, with a sort of with his head there. Actually, that storyline continues a bit later. There's MODOK obviously with his head, and Leader with his head. Is there a theme running through this? Great little stories, the Rhino. And of course there's one out in space there. You've got the Rhino there fighting the Hulk. Not a great situation, I think, for the Rhino particularly. Obviously he quickly puts his oxygen mask on, at least with the Leader's intelligence. Though I must admit, I think at some point, of course, there's a connection gets lost there. It's obviously further out in space. And of course, somehow the Leader is always able to observe and look at all these things wherever. So he's obviously got cameras everywhere. So it's always useful. And you've got the Hulk battling away, and you've got around the sun, quite close to the sun. Must have got quite hot for the Hulk and Rhino, especially, of course, with his hide on. I thought that would be very hot. But anyway, Counter-Earth, and you got Warlock. And for me, I love those early Warlock ones. Warlock, issue 4, 5, 6, etc. And then suddenly the series was finished, and then, of course, Starling, etc. later. But they just finish off that storyline, which is good, I suppose. It's but it's a pity they just didn't continue the magazine. I loved Warlock, Power of Warlock. That's some great stories. The Doc Doom one and those sort of things, brilliant. However, Counter-Earth, you've got the poor old Rhino again. Why doesn't he go and face someone like Paste Pot Pete or someone sort of he probably can win? However, you got the Abomination. He's back. So the Abomination is back. Abomination sort of supposedly stronger than the Hulk, though of course he always seems to get beaten. In the earliest comics he was really super strong and could really take the Hulk out very easily. Now he's sort of reduced to basically totally useless state most of the time. He barely can do anything. But anyway, that's the story of the Abomination. And well, this one, Niagara Falls. Oh, Tiger Shark. Very unusual Tiger Shark. Another one that's sort of from another storyline, which is the Hulk. Maybe never. Obviously, you had the Leader, and there was a vast amount. There was a few characters, but obviously the Leader was the main one. But a lot of characters from other stories, like Tiger Shark, obviously Submariner. And of course, you got Betty there again, and there's a whole load of interest with the Glenn, etc. And also the father, Thunderbolt Ross, backwards and forwards. They did a lot of that. That was just background going on, sometimes confusing about actually where these characters were. Are they in a prison over there, or are they not in a prison? I don't know after a while. So, of course, came to this, see, without reading the previous one. I haven't read it for a little while. I completely forgotten about the storylines that were happening before. So, anyway, Tiger Shark there. And you got this story, which was, as I said, the first Hulk story I ever got, and it was set in Canada. Which slightly confused me, I must admit, the storyline going to Canada, but that's there's the Beast, and of course the Beast has changed as well. There was quite a few in this book of X-Men stories as well. There was a lot of X-Men. Very strange how many X-Men stories. Of course, the X-Men at that time was not running, so I guess they were included. But it's even some of the villains turned up. Cobalt Man, for example. I'm surprised Magneto didn't turn up. Would have been quite interesting to see Magneto versus Hulk. I don't know if they've ever had a Magneto versus Hulk. Can't remember one. There probably has been. However, I love the Mimic, and I always felt quite a character that should have continued, you know, as a regular feature in the X-Men. I think that would have made a major difference to that series, because that series, of course, finished issue 66 of the X-Men, and the Mimic, I think, would have been an addition, a wonderful addition, would have been useful. Maybe not always mimicking the Iceman's ability, but also, of course, the other villains, etc. Would have been good. However, this one, slightly odd, Wendigo. Doesn't say much, does he? So you've got Wendigo there, well, something growling away. Of course, he's slightly bigger than Hulk, but of course the Hulk's going to win. You know, he's however strong Wendigo is, doesn't make any difference. Then you've got the Gremlin. When I first saw him, I thought, oh, Gremlin, because I'd forgotten this story. I must admit, don't think I read this story when it first came out. And the Gremlin popped up, and I thought, oh, that's strange. Looks like the gargoyle. And, well, of course, there's a connection there. So it's good to see. Yeah, the Gremlin suddenly mysteriously appears. A bit of a twist and weird storyline there. And then off to another one that's underwater. So you've got, like, obviously a tiger shark earlier. How odd. Lots of, which is actually quite a nice story, actually, in an unusual way with a sort of, well, it's good. So Phantom from Five, that's a bit of a mouthful. Phantom from Fathom. And this character, Armbruster. I always called him Armbuster. I don't know why. I always thought for a long time, Armbuster. But there he is, coming in, striding in. Maybe they were obviously going to think about replacing poor old Glenn. Glenn, no! Etc. And then I love this one. Now, for some weird reason, I missed these stories. The one that just when they were coming out, I don't know. Distribution was always a bit weird in the UK because, of course, we had the Mighty World of Marvel, and that sort of meant that some of these issues, the Hulk sort of vanished from there, like Spider-Man as well. It was very annoying because there were some really good stories during that period, and they suddenly just vanished. And you think you could get them in like Dark They Were and Golden Knight and things, but that was it. So you got the Incredible Hulk there, and I remember getting that one with Zzz, whatever his name was, Zzz, the thing from the Dynamo, run, it's etc. You got Hawkeye as well. Turns up, loved Hawkeye. Hawkeye's a great character. I'm looking forward. I think there's an epic collection of Hawkeye as well, so that should be good. Oh yes, this is a bit thing. She goes, poor old Betty goes a bit slightly, very well, not surprised. I mean, really, all the years and all the problems she's had. Bruce, oh, let's marry, blah blah blah. This person, they all end up getting killed. So I imagine she would be pretty well. So she's obviously slightly with her father. Of course, I'm never even certain half time whether probably he's replaced by a leader's android or something. You never know with. However, you got this time. You got MODOK. So MODOK turns up in the storyline. MODOK's great, but of course you've also got Betty becomes yet another, which actually when you first see it, a bit like She-Hulk, there was a sort of element of She-Hulk. And I'm surprised they didn't do that with that story, She-Hulk there. You could sort of feel the, and certainly drawn in a way that looks like the She-Hulk. So that's a great story. I do vaguely remember that one when it came out. Now, you got the story when they're set on an island, that's quite good as well. But you've also got this. I love this one, the Abomination and the Leader. Remember this one. And great, no, sort of gives a clue to the story. But Abomination and Rhino, both, unfortunately, of course, forever losers in the story. And then the story moves on. Canst thou slay the Juggernaut? I love the Juggernaut. Again, an X-Men sort of story. So you've got the X-Men stories earlier and also you've got, obviously with the Mimic, etc. You've also got Juggernaut. So that's quite nice. So yet another one. There's a bit of obviously a mix there with the. I love the story. I love the artwork as well. The artwork was brilliant. I think Herb Trimp for me, Herb Trimp, whatever, was absolutely brilliant. Yes. Oh, that's a different. That's strange. Doesn't actually say. Oh, this one. I'm just going to go back to this one. Yeah, Jack Abel. I really loved that inking work. That was just really looked excellent. Changed a bit the next one. You can definitely see the sort of change there. But you got the Juggernaut, then you got Cobalt Man. So you got the Cobalt Man there. I won't show that because that's near. But you got Cobalt Man. Obviously, again, an X-Men old villain from issue whatever 28, 27, something like that of the X-Men. Wasn't particularly a villain though. He was obviously just because of the influence of the radioactivity, etc. And then I don't know if he still turns up. Maybe Cobalt Man still turns up. Who knows? Maybe they've oomped him up as another character. However, you got here the Inhumans. And of course, he goes and lands in there and he goes down. But that's quite nice because you've got Quicksilver, you've got all the various characters there, which of course connects again with the mutants and X-Men. But the story then moves over to Counter Earth, and this is the key one, I suppose, for this book completely. However, not the world's greatest cover. I must admit, some of the covers were a bit sort of, what's the name? I wouldn't say that's a great cover, bit of a messy cover. Looking for the President, you've got, no, that doesn't do much for me. However, Warlock, it's just great to see Warlock, the character. Love Warlock, and you can see Warlock obviously there. However, the storyline, you can clear sort of where the story's going. There's certain moments in this you think, yes, you know exactly where it's going. You've got obviously the Last Supper scene there, clearly. However, which one's going to be the... No. But it's just great. Absolutely great. And you, of course, got the Recorder turns up as well. So there's a lot really going on in this book. It's just brilliant. I think it's just an absolute joy to read. I actually read this very quickly, and I've read it a couple of times since, actually, because it's just very easy to skim through, read, and just go back and think, oh, that's a great story, reread some of the stories, and make general sense of some of the other bits that I've missed. However, also, probably one of the best things about this is a brilliant, well, got that story there. Of course, it moved on then with Warlock, and we ended up with the more epic Infinity Gauntlet and all the sort of epic sort of intergalactic adventures. But you got this, the Foom. I loved the Foom magazine. I didn't get as many copies as I would like, and now Foom copies are insanely expensive. But this one, Hunt the Hulk, if I get that right. Look at that lovely there. You got some lovely drawings there of all different stages, and it's quite. I love that one. Brilliant. And also you've got a brilliant list as well, all the stories, Incredible Hulk. Though not obviously all the stories, but because it stops at number, 73, The Green-Skinned God. This is issue Incredible Hulk 165. And of course, as usual, you've got Foom there by Stranko. I mean, what a brilliant. And you've got some standard sort of pages there. Always good, always great to see. I think there's a few more. That's a lovely one. Death from On High. Crisis on Counter Earth. And that's it. What an absolutely brilliant epic collection. I absolutely love this one. So it's just great stories all the way through, though there's a certain theme that runs through it as well, which is it's just brilliant. So definitely totally recommended.